Hello, hello. Sorry, I am 1 minute late into the room. Sincere apologies. Hi, everyone. Hi, Mags. Hi, Joni. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Megan. Susan, good to see you. Hi, Jay. Hi, Anna. Okay, we'll just give it a minute for people to come into the room. This is our usual monthly call. Usually it's a Q&A call for the people inside the training programs, inside my members area. But it's kind of morphed into just a general chat kind of thing, mostly about COVID and business and how things are going. But I also share updates and things like that. But again, if it's a Q&A, so if you do want to ask any questions or you want to share anything or you would like to talk about anything, hi Corinne, please feel free to just pop a message in the chat. Or if you did want to come on and talk to me live, that's also fine too. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Hosea. Hope I said that right. Okay, so people are still filtering in the room, but I'll just give you a quick update as to what I want to talk about today, as I'm melting here in Egypt. Where are you guys at the moment, and what's it like there? Here I am in Egypt, and it's not even that hot really. It's only like 34 degrees I think today, where I am, and it's on the sea, so there's a nice breeze. But still, Hannah's in Guatemala. Susan says it's nice and cool in Michigan. I think it's always cool in Michigan, isn't it? No. Mags is in South Africa. Cool. Okay, guys, I'll just let you kind of chat amongst yourselves while I just explain what we're going to talk about. So, yeah, usually I have something planned and something I want to talk about. And last session, if you're inside the members area and you get to watch the replays and things, last session was all about passive income. And we've done other sessions just on generally about COVID stuff. I did one about the new types of clients and things like that. And I've noticed as well that a lot of people are putting on events. So I took part in an event last Friday with put together by the UK Society of VAs, a lady called Joanne Hawkins, and she was putting together these speakers, and I was a panelist on that. I don't know whether any of you were there. Corinne says it's unusually hot in the UK. That is very unusual, Corinne. Tracy says it's raining and cold. Oh. Anna is in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, but it's hot there. Marina says super hot there, where she is. Okay, so totally lost my train of thought. So I was attending an event, so I've been doing lots of events and just kind of helping and supporting people. I've got to admit, like, we're getting from virtual assistants anyway, based on this panel that I was on last Friday, where it was an event for virtual assistants, whether you were just starting or growing a business and things like that. And there was this panel of experts. I was one of them, and then there was about 5 or 6 others, I think, in total. But it was really interesting hearing the different VAs' perspectives on what business was like and how it's going right now and things like that. And it really, I think, very much depended on the type of VA that they were. You know, were they the traditional 9-to-5 PA style VA, and their businesses has been impacted very differently to some other people's businesses. I know people are completely reinventing their businesses right now, their VA businesses. Yeah, so it's a really interesting panel, and some people on the panel were just like, carry on as normal, like nothing's happening, and to keep doing your marketing and keep doing the same thing. I didn't necessarily agree with that person. I did think there should be differences and alterations in how you approach people these days. I don't think it's prudent to expect the exact same results between pre-COVID and post-COVID, or where we are now in terms of the marketing aspects and things like that. I think people's brains have changed. I think what people invest in have changed. I think what people are willing to invest in has changed. I talked about this on the COVID workshop that I did last month, and it was very much sort of tailoring things now into what people will feel more comfortable investing in. Like, for example, people are feeling more comfortable investing in streamlining, reducing costs, organizing things, upgrading systems to automate more stuff, that type of thing. So anything that's going to potentially save them money in the long term, streamline things in the long term, maybe reduce their staff. Not that you want to be helping people with that right now, but if that's what people need in these times, and that's what we've got to do for them, you know, it's a needs must thing. So I sort of came at it from that angle, saying, well, we should slightly adapt what we offer to what people are more likely to be investing in at this time. But anyway, that was really, really interesting. And I think the general census from the VAs overall, including myself, is that in some cases, the VA world hasn't really changed that much. It's the client world that has changed a great deal more than the VA world. We're still able to do the things that we were able to do before, and there's not been much shift in that occurring, but obviously there's been a huge shift in the clients and things like that. Anna says, today I want to ask whether it's possible to offer representation services as a freelancer, and what would I call myself if people ask me what kind of freelancing job. Okay, that's a good question. We'll get to that in a sec. So I just wanted to share that with you anyway, about this panel and the VAs on there and their different ideas and their different take on what's going on right now in the industry. Some people had this, and they're all experts, don't get me wrong, like some people had this idea that we should just keep doing what we were doing, plow ahead, move forward, keep doing the marketing that you were doing and things like that. Other people were like at the agreement that investing in advertising right now and things like that has to be, you can't just invest in advertising like you did before about the same products, the same services. It's got to be tailored to the current climate right now. Otherwise I think it just looks like people are looking, thinking, where are you? Where have you been? There's like this huge pandemic in the world, and you're just carrying on like it's not happening, which I think is fairly accurate. Yeah, and then there's the optimist. Slightly, even I'm having to change my branding and my business. Although travel is kind of opening up around the world. I mean, we've got flights coming back in from July 1st into Egypt, but we're still not all connected on that. I was talking to a friend just this morning, and she's in Germany, and her boyfriend's out here in Egypt, and they just got stuck in separation, and she really wants to come back out to see him. But the issue is that Egypt are opening up flights, but Germany aren't. They're not flying anyone anywhere. So that could potentially be September, you know. So it's like, even though I think it feels like the world is starting to open up, it feels like the world is starting to try and find a sense of normality again, there is no normal. I don't think there's going to be a normal for a very long time, because not everyone is always going to be on the same page. So I would say, if you haven't seen that COVID workshop, do go and check it out. I think everything in there is still really relevant. For anyone new on the call, let me just see if I can quickly find you that link, because it is all completely free. There we are, I think. Yes. So here is the link. And I would say just kind of still stick to doing that. So next I'm going to answer the question, and then I'm going to talk about customer service. So I had some customer service experience. I always like sharing my experiences with you guys, especially when it's something that I was thinking to myself that I want to or it was really applicable to business, and it really made me think about my business. And sometimes we get these reminders about what's important and what makes people stand out. So I'm going to answer this question, then we're going to talk a little bit about customer service and standing out. And I think standing out during these times is really, really important, more than ever. It was always important, don't get me wrong. You know, your unique selling proposition or unique selling point was always important, and wowing the customer and things like that. But I think it's even more so now, because everyone is really scrambling to get that business and to secure that client if it's available. So I'll talk to you a little bit about customer service. So, okay, let's answer Anna's questions here. So I'll repeat it again. Today I want to ask whether it is possible to offer representation services as a freelancer. Anna, please can you elaborate on what a representation service is specifically? It says, what would I call myself if people ask me what kind of freelancing I do? And Anna says, how about my tagline? I have a choice between packaging your product into an online business and powering business diplomacy. And okay, so for me, powering business diplomacy is way too cryptic for a tagline. I would read powering business diplomacy and not have a clue what you did. So I would say that's a definite bin item. Sorry. It sounds fancy and nice and very prestigious and things like that, but it's not going to work for you. We want a tagline that's going to work for you. Tagline should be something that someone reads, and immediately within the first seconds of actually reading it, they know exactly what you do. Clear, simple, concise. Am I here on the right page? It should be the first thing that they see on when they land on your website. So I would say, as much as powering business diplomacy is very nice, it's not the most effective, friendly tagline for you. Packaging your product into an online business is way more to the point. I understand it. I know exactly what you're doing. And I would know immediately whether you could help me from that first tagline. So the other point is just, because you haven't responded about the representation services. I'm not quite sure what you want to represent people doing. So if you want to respond to that, that would be cool. And then I can help you with that final part of the question. So, but in the meantime, I can go on to this customer service experience I've had. Oh, wait. Representation project management. So how does that tie in? So yes, you can do project management services. Absolutely. That's a great thing to offer as a freelancer. To me though, the project manager to call yourself a project manager is more understandable and clearer than representation services. Anyone else can chime in, by the way, and put your 2 cents in about what you think. So I don't really know if I've answered that first question, but if you mean, is it possible to offer project management? Then absolutely, yes, go for it. I know other VAs who are doing that quite successfully. So absolutely. I was going to talk to you as well, before I go on to the customer service thing. I had a friend contact me yesterday, and this just shows how people's minds are thinking as well right now. Like I mean, I've had people contact me, ask me questions, but this was really interesting. She said, I really want to pick your brains. This is the lady who, she lives in Egypt. She's English and she lives in Egypt, but she was working for a company in England. And she did a little bit of like sales and marketing for this company in England. She took a salary, and it was a monthly salary, and she got furloughed. I don't even really understand what furloughed is, but I think it's just when you get time off and you get paid for it. But she got furloughed, but everyone's now in this situation where they don't know whether they're going to have their furlough renewed or something like that, or they don't know whether their job is going to be safe or stable as things are changing and not changing. Right, they're paying 80%. Okay. So she came to me and said, like, my job's looking really, really unstable. And have you seen what I've been doing on Facebook? And I have. And what she's been doing is she's really into cooking. So she has been doing these live streams every week. I think it's just because she loves cooking. She doesn't charge anything for it. It's completely free. She started building up a group, and she gets people into this group. You know, she shares it, says, I do free cooking, Egyptian cooking every week. Come and check it out. So she gets on there at 7:30 on a Thursday night or whatever it is, and then sometimes it's a few nights a week, I think. And she just cooks things. She cooks a dinner in front of the camera on live stream. And she said, you know, like, I'm really enjoying this, and it's turning in, I feel it turning into something. And it's always a really good indication that you're doing something good and something that you're passionate about, because you can see it organically turning into something without having to really try. And I think that's what she's doing. She just started this as a kind of hobby, and completely organically on its own, she's getting more and more members joining. She's not advertising, marketing, telling people to tell other people to come in. They're just coming and they're sharing it with their friends, because it's like, oh, let's just hang out and watch this lady cook a dinner, you know, on a Tuesday night or a Thursday night. And she said, I think it's turning into something. And I said, well, it's highly likely it's turning into something, because you love doing it. You love it. And if you're on the camera and you're enjoying the cooking, you know, and she has a drink and she's, you know, like doing a bit of banter online, talking, she's got her animals in the background or whatever, and her husband or whatever, you know, and she's just having a lot of fun. And she's like, she comes to me and says, what can I do with this? Like, I know I've got something, what can I do with it? So I said, okay, well, we can have, you know, we can set up a call and things like that, and I'll be happy to have a chat with you and brainstorm. But she was thinking to herself, like, initially, like, what if I printed a really nice PDF of the recipe and I sold it at the end? And to me, I thought to myself, no one's going to buy that recipe if they've just watched you cook it and they made the notes and they can watch the replay again just to get the recipe from that, or they could just simply watch the video and memorize what you did. So I said, I don't think that trying to monetize it through just doing this PDF is going to really be helpful to you. I said, but what you could do is put together a recipe book, and you just one of the recipes just happened to be the recipe that you were cooking that day, and they could buy the recipe book at the end. Or potentially you can restrict the replays, like take the replays down off of the free group, export them into video, put them in a members area where people can get the recipe and the video inside the members area, so you can still do the first one for free and have your fun. But after that, the replays are inside the members area, and they could pay like a one-time fee to access that, or you could charge a real nominal monthly membership, things like that. So it was really interesting for me to be getting contacted by people who are basically, and I thought this would be the way it would go, basically have these hobbies, and then they're like, I'm really enjoying this, and it's just kind of taking off, you know, and what can I do about it? There's a woman here who lives in my town who just started making masks, not necessarily to sell them, but she wanted to make some for herself and her friends. So she started making these masks, and she was wearing them out, and someone said, oh, where did you get that mask from? And she said, I made it. And they said, well, can you make me one? Because I really like it. And then her business is growing just like that, you know. So it's really interesting what people are doing, how they're doing business right now, how things are shifting and changing. And people, I think, have had the time to do something for fun, not be so attached to it, and then realize maybe I could actually keep doing this and make some money from it. So I have to contact her today, and I'm going to have a chat with her. I mean, but it's just a case really of, I think what people really want is just to bounce around ideas off people and think, you know, and think about, what could I potentially do? Would you buy this? And, you know, and things like that. And I think the best thing to do is ask other people if somebody would actually buy it, or get get it from other people. You know, when someone says, where did your mask come from, and can you make me one, that's a business right there. That's like the universe slapping you in the face saying you need to make masks now. So yeah, I thought I'd share that interesting tidbit of information. And I think if you are in a position as a VA to start doing, you know, supportive consultations, helping people out and that type of thing, saying I'm open for a free chat, free 30-minute something or other, if you've got a hobby or something that you're doing, just offer it up, you know, and see. And actually this ties in and this carries in or goes into this customer service experience I'm going to share with you, and how much of a reminder customer service is, how important it is, especially at this time when people are being super picky about where they spend their money. And this isn't just in the VA world, this is in every area. So I had recently a health thing going on, and I had the opportunity to I had to visit a doctor, and I was recommended this doctor who specialized in the thing that I needed. And she was here, she was a foreign doctor, I think she was Russian, and loads of people said good things about her and said, okay, you should try this woman because she's really good at what she does, and I had a good experience with her. So I said, okay. So I went along, and I don't think you really notice customer service experiences until you have something that's comparable placed in front of you that makes you realize you've had a really bad experience sometimes, especially when you're not in familiar territory. You know, sometimes I'm like that with lawyers. If I don't have much experience with going to lawyers or legal stuff, but I know the difference when I have a good experience with a lawyer and a bad experience. So if you've been to a lawyer and you just have a bad experience, sometimes you don't know you're having a bad experience until you've had a good experience. So this is kind of like that, which really made me think. So I went there, I made an appointment with her. It was easy to do. It was on Facebook. So you can go onto her Facebook page and you can send her a message on Facebook. And she replied promptly. And again, these are all things that we should be doing just generally in our businesses with our customers. And, you know, these are things that I've really noticed in my experience. When somebody responds to me promptly, I notice that they respond to me promptly. If someone just responds to me the next day, all I notice is that they've responded. Do you see the difference? One, I notice someone has responded to me promptly, and the other one I've noticed that they've just responded, and there's nothing stand out about that. So always think about this in your customer service. It's really, really important. Because this is what other people are going to be thinking about you. And in the end of the day, we always want to put ourselves in a position where we want to say to ourselves, what do we want other people to say about us behind our backs? Okay, it's a really, really important question to answer about yourself. In terms of your life, obviously, but in terms of your service as well. What do I want other people to say about me behind my back? Do I want to be that person where someone says, oh, she responded really promptly, because that was noticeable? Do you know what I mean? So anyway, moving back on. So I was impressed. So I was able to very easily go to her Facebook page, message her, say that I needed an appointment. She came back. I wrote to her and said when I needed the appointment. She had one free then, so she booked me in. She sent me a little confirmation on Messenger, which I thought was nice. It confirmed the appointment, and then I went to the appointment. So I showed up in the office. It was okay. It wasn't like a really super nice reception area. There was nobody there to greet me or anything like that. It was just kind of like go in and sit down. That's fine. And then she came out and she said, oh, hi. And then she said, okay, come in. So I went in, sat down, and she had not a ring binder, but a notebook, like a lined spiral notebook. She had a lined spiral notebook in front of her. And she said, okay, what's your name? How old are you? Blah, blah, blah. What's the issue? Okay, let's check you out. So it was okay experience. She confirmed what I needed her to confirm. And she was a little bit strange, I have to admit. She said some very strange things. She made some very strange comments to me, which I thought were a little bit inappropriate, but I thought to myself, okay, well, she's Russian. Maybe the sense of humor is a little bit different out there. So, I mean, I've traveled a fair amount, so I know that things differ. So I was like, okay, fine. So she said, come back to me in 10 days. I said, okay. So I waited the 10 days, and then I went on Messenger using the same chat that I'd messaged her before. And I said, can I book my follow-up appointment with you? She said, when do you want to book it? She booked me in, the same thing. I had the date and time set, and showed up. She sent the confirmation again. I showed up to the appointment. I went into her office. I sat down. She said, what's your name? And I said, Michelle. She said, how old are you? And I was just like, oh my God, this is like Groundhog Day. So like deja vu here. So I sort of went along with it. I thought maybe this is just her routine. It just might be her thing. You know, she's Russian. Could be a Russian thing that you're. And then she said, and what's the problem? Like, why are you here today? And I just thought, no, you don't remember me. You know, I was in your office 10 days before. You asked me to come back specifically, and you don't remember who I am. So I said, I'm here for the same thing that I was here 10 days ago, and you told me to come back today. She said, oh, really? And then she started going back. She said, what date was that? And she's going back in this spiral notebook, like with no organization, no page. And she's just like going back in this spiral notebook, trying to find me. And she's like, oh, yeah, there you are. Okay, you know, like, let's go and check this out. So that was one experience. After I had that experience, and I realized that she didn't know who I was, I thought to myself, I need another opinion on this. I would like to seek a second opinion. So that whole customer service experience, while she didn't necessarily do anything wrong, it made me and forced me automatically to want to go and see somebody else. And I did. So I booked an appointment with somebody else that got recommended to me. And already this woman's losing her business because of this lack of organization, lack of structure, you know, and these are things that I like to glean on and talk about with my clients. Like if you, like, for example, if I'm a customer support VA, so to me, customer support is really, really paramount as part of a business. Because of this reason, it's important to be able to share your experiences, your stories. I heard about this in customer service. You know, you're going to lose clients if we don't become attentive, if we don't keep notes, if we don't, you know, do these things, if we don't have CRM records. A lot of people won't think, oh, that's not important. This Russian doctor thought, well, that's not important for me to have a computer and keep records and keep note of my patients and know who they are and maybe even take a photo. So you recognize the person next time, who knows? But, you know, it made me want to sit there and not be angry at her that she forgot me, but made me want to actually say, do you want to book a consultation with me to show you how you could have not lost this business? So that was the first thing. Anyway, but I had another recommendation from another guy, another person, and it was a guy. And again, it was the same thing. So I went onto the Facebook page, and it was quite late at night, and he responded promptly. But it was a different experience because I said I wanted to book an appointment, and he said, call the office tomorrow and book the appointment. I said, okay. So I would have actually preferred to have done it online if I could, but I don't mind calling. So called the office, made the appointment the next day. So I turn up at this appointment for the same thing that I went to see the other woman about. And immediately I am greeted by someone. There's a little reception desk in there, and there's a human being sat at it. And it's a really nice reception area. It's comfortable sofas. There was a television on, you know, it looked pleasant. It looked nice. The other one was not nice to see, and it's like nobody really cared about it. So I thought that was nice, you know. And I know that there's a huge difference between the money that you can put in and invest in reception areas, but it doesn't really cost a lot to make something look nice with a few little touches and furnishings and maybe a picture or something like that, you know. So this was the first thing I noticed. I noticed that the greeting and the welcome gave me a lot more trust and a lot more confidence in this new person straight away off the bat. It was immediate. It was like, oh, I feel like this person knows what they're doing. So the lady, there was two ladies actually. There was a foreign speaking lady and there was an Egyptian lady. And the foreign speaking lady came to me and said, oh, hi. What's your name? And I said, my name. She said, okay. So she immediately gave me a piece of paper, and she said, can you fill this out? It was just like a medical question form. Name, asked me what my blood type was, you know, like that type of thing. Some of the things I knew, some things I didn't. And that was okay. So I filled out this form and I thought, oh, actually, like somebody's actually interested in me and wants to know who I am type thing, wants to keep a record of me, which is very nice. So I filled out the form and I handed it back in. And then I was handed a card. It was like a little business card. And it, on the one side of it, had all the details about the doctor. And there was a couple of telephone numbers, email address, you know, the address of the doctor's location. And on the back, there was something that said client number. So she said to me, she said, okay, we've got you checked in, we've got you registered. She said the cost of this appointment is this amount of money, whereas the other lady, she didn't tell me any costs until the end. And then she said, this is what you owe me. But I was told up front the cost of the appointment. I love that, by the way, really love that. So they said the cost of the appointment is this. They wanted me to pay up front as well. So I said, okay. She said, okay, so this is your membership number, she said, or your client number. Whenever you contact us, make sure you always quote this number so we can pull up your details on the system and we know who we're talking to, which I thought was lovely. It's a very nice touch. So she said, that's your client number. And then she turned the card over and she said, this is our daytime telephone number. So you can either call or WhatsApp between 8 a.m. In the morning and 8 p.m. at night. And you will get a response from the doctor fairly promptly. So if you need anything, and you can also contact us in emergencies. And if you get an emergency after 8 p.m. at night, you can contact this number between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. in the morning. So already, like, the whole experience, just from a few very basic things that really don't cost anything, I'm already feeling so much better with this experience. And it's going to be the same for you online. If you have a business, any kind of business, whether you're a BA or whether you're just, you know, offering any other kind of non-VA business, people are going to shop around and they're going to have different experiences. You have to make sure your experience with the customer, or their experience with you, is going to be one of those standout experiences, is going to be one where someone goes away and says, oh my God, that was night and day. So, that was that. So she gave me this card, and then she also said, and obviously if you ever need any blood tests or lab work or anything like that, the place to do that is just directly opposite in the next. So then the business that related to that business, that doctor's business, was right up in the opposite side of the hallway. Now, again, I know that's not always possible, but in the VA world, it absolutely is, because nothing's together. So everything is together. You know what I mean? So, you know, for example, if someone comes to me and I'm a generalist VA, and I offer everything apart from bookkeeping, I'm going to have that go-to bookkeeper right there, their details, their number. So when that client says, oh, and what about my books? Do you do bookkeeping? You say, no, but I have a colleague who does it. This is their number. This is their details. You'll be able to go to them. Just mention that I sent you, that type of thing. It felt like that, or the equivalent of that, you know. So I would say always have your counterparts prepared and ready to go. It was really nice for me to be able to be in that position where it's like, well, what if I need this and I need this? Well, it's okay because they're right here and you can go to this person. I recommend this person and they're really good. Really, really important. So find those gaps in your own business and fill them with other people. And I'm not saying like, you go and reach out to other people, say, hi, I see you're a bookkeeper. I don't offer bookkeeping. Can we get together and just have a chat? Get to know that person, look at their testimonials, and then just have them as your go-to person to fill in the gaps. Again, that'll resolve a lot of issues and build a lot of trust with potential clients. So I sat down in this doctor's surgery and it was very busy. There was people coming in and out, patients in and out. They were like literally rolling one to the next. So you could tell that this doctor actually had a decent client base because of their availability and the traffic coming through the reception. So I went in and sat down, and he wasn't as friendly and chatty as the other one and coming out with sort of odd comments and things, but he was very to the point. He was very matter of fact. He had a lady with him. It was a sort of ladies issue, shall we say, and he had a lady with him in his office. And so like he asked me the questions. He reiterated, is this you? He had my piece of paper on my case in front of him. Is this you? Is this right? Is this correct? Yes. He asked me a bunch of questions about my thing. And then he said, okay. And then he wanted to he wanted to weigh me and do some other things to put on file, which I thought was very good. And then he said, okay, so we're going to check you out now. And my assistant here will come and prepare you. So, where the other woman was just kind of like, take clothes off and lay down. It was like this glass building, like there was no cover, there was nothing. There was like this little area where I could change, and she sort of prepared me and everything, and it was just a really very, very nice experience. I didn't feel exposed or anything like that. Won't go into too much detail. Yeah, so that was that. They came, and then he said the same thing. He said, come back in a week's time. He said, but also I want to check this and I want to check this and I want to check this. So he gave me lots of tests that I had to go and have done. He said, it's important that we do these, and this is not mentioned at all by this other doctor whatsoever. So he was obviously a lot more thorough, and he was a lot more attention to detail oriented. He seemed to care a lot more about what he was doing and doing it the correct way and the right way. And I'm not saying you can't be flexible and wing things sometimes, because you absolutely can. But there's a huge difference between like winging it a little bit and just completely dropping the ball, So that was that experience. And obviously the next time that I need the doctor for this thing, I'm going to go to him. It's like a no-brainer. It's just that's the best kind of marketing and advertising that you can ever have, is just to give people an amazing customer experience. Do whatever you can. Really think about your business and the first interaction that people have with you, and how you approach that, how they book that consultation with you, how you interact with them on that first initial email. How easy is it for them to book with you? Can they do it on their own time? It's, how user-friendly is it? It's really, really important to have these details. What's their first interaction going to be like with you when they jump on that call with you? You've really got to go through this process in your own mind in a lot of detail, and you've got to say to yourself and scrutinize every point, every detail, and say, how could this be done better? Could I do something differently? Could I give more? Could I offer more? So someone actually goes away from this whole experience, even if they've not paid me a single penny yet, just going, wow, that was good. And I want more of that. Really, really important. And it's the free experience. Anyone can offer a really good experience after they've been paid, for sure. But it's the free experience when nobody's parted with any money whatsoever, and you're giving them 5-star treatment regardless of that fact. It's not, well, you haven't paid me anything, so I'm going to just kind of treat you like dirt. No, it's like, it's really about making that impact from the very, very beginning and treating everyone as if they're a full paying 5-star client from the moment they have that first connection with you. And that to me is such an important thing. Megan said, I never would have gone with that first one. That is terrible. Yeah, it was. I thought the worst thing was like when I sat there and it was like I was getting the same questions asked. Like, it's like they were like basic questions. And at least I went to the follow-up appointment with this guy, and he had my file out in front of him immediately when I went there. You know, it was just, I felt like, okay, well, I'm an actual person here and somebody cares. Yeah, it was a really, really night and day experience in both of them. And I don't think the first doctor was particularly bad. I think she actually was a really good doctor. And in terms of how she dealt with me on a medical level, I thought she actually may have been slightly better. In fact, I know she was slightly better than the other doctor. That's weird, isn't it? It's like her knowledge and her information, I think, especially because she was a woman as well, I think it was better than the male doctor. But the whole experience, even though I know she might be more knowledgeable, I'm still going to go with the one that I had the better experience with, that I trusted more, that I felt better with. And that, again, is a really interesting thing, isn't it? Because a lot of people think, and I talk to a lot of VAs about confidence issues and things like that. And they say, well, there's somebody out there better qualified than I am. There's somebody out there that knows more about this subject than I do. There's somebody out there that, you know, has got X number of qualifications, or, you know, OBEs or MBEs or whatever it is. GCSEs is. And that doesn't really mean a great deal. And that's another example of that. You don't need more and more and more and more knowledge. You need, first of all, to have a good grasp on what you're doing, but you don't need to like have it all to be able to get that client. What you can do is compensate by providing a really amazing experience. And then, believe me, somebody will go with the person that they feel is going to take care of them a lot better than the person who just knows a lot more. And I think that's going to be the case. And that was in a medical issue. So, I mean, what could be more important than that? So, okay. So I just want to share it with you. Jay says, hi, Michelle. If I start as a completely new VA with a training, if I choose to initially start at your support level to gain experience, can you please give me an honest idea of how much a support once was a team member would generally earn per month in the first maybe 4 to 6 months? I'm based in the UK. Jay, I love this question, but it's the same as like, how long is a piece of string? It absolutely has so many variables. It's untrue. Okay, so it's the way this works, especially when you're an independent business owner, and again, this customer support thing that we've just been through is a great lead into this. Okay, so it's not like you go to a job where someone advertises a job and says, okay, well, you can come in at this level and you'll get this salary, and then you'll stay with us for 4 to 6 months, and then you'll go on to this salary, providing that you do the job correctly. And so that's very much like an employment path. With one sourcing, with any kind of freelance or an independent path, even supporters, first of all, you choose your own salary. Okay, so in terms of money, you choose what you want to charge. But I always have this rule or general rule, so the business of the person hiring you stays profitable, is that they need to pay you approximately half of what they're charging the client. So the half will be their profit, their overheads, their marketing budget. It will come out of that. So for example, if you go to a one sourcer, or a one sourcer wants to hire you, a really good example of what they're prepared or willing to pay you would be if you went to their site and you saw that they were charging an hourly rate of £20 an hour, for example, not saying that that's right, everyone charges different things, but let's say for an example, because it's an easy number and my maths is terrible, they charge £20 an hour. So what they would likely pay you, if they were looking to hire, they would be looking to hire someone who took approximately no more than £10 an hour. Okay, so that's the framework of how this works. It might be slightly less depending on your experience, depending on a number of factors, your abilities, whether you check all the boxes, whether you check some of the boxes and you're willing to learn other things, that type of thing. So in terms of what you can generally earn per month, that depends on the one source that you're working with and how profitable their business is, and what they're making. But it also depends on how many hours you're doing with that one source, because there is no, you know, like, oh, it's going to be 10 hours a week for this amount of money or anything like that. So again, it's such a big variable. What you can do, as always, I've got, I had a video once about how to increase income with clients. Let me just see if I can find that for you. Oh, I think it's in my members area. I'll see if I can find it and I can see if I can get to it. Write into customer support. If you write into support@virtualmissfriday.com and you ask for the video that I mentioned on this call about how to increase your income with existing clients, we'll dig that out and send that to you and see if we can get that over to you. But yeah, so it really depends on that. And also you have to take into consideration that during these times that we're not operating like we were operating 6 months ago, and we're operating very differently. I know a lot of VAs have had to reduce their supporters back now because their client base has also been reduced. Some people have completely lost all their clients. Even I've lost a couple of really big clients. So again, it's not something that I'm able to ask exactly. The fact that you're based in the UK, I don't think that's a huge factor in how successful you will be as a supporter. Really, that's down to the individual. Obviously, though, that you're going to have more opportunities in terms of networking with other people in the UK if you are based in the UK. Obviously, when people can actually meet each other again. So yeah, it really all depends on the individual, but I hope that gives you kind of like a rough idea. There are lots of one sources out there who are doing really well. They're charging, some are charging around 40, 50 pounds an hour to their clients. So obviously as a supporter, if you're a highly skilled supporter, then you can expect to be getting in about half of that, depending on what you do for that person, when they need you, how they need you, that type of thing. But if you want to write into support, if you have any other questions about that, or I haven't answered that more fully, then for sure you can write into support and we can help you with that. Josie, I hope I said that right. Newbie in this VA thingy, and there's VA thingy during social gatherings and people ask you what you do, what would you tell them? I'm a virtual assistant. Actually, if I was in a social gathering, which is very rare, I would probably tell people that I support people in building online businesses. So a lot of people ask me, what do you do? And I say I support people into building online businesses, or helping them to work online. So that's where I basically come from. Only because not many people in social gatherings have heard of virtual assistant. If someone's contacting me specifically about online business, or to contact me because I'm a VA or something like that, or we're in a LinkedIn group and I know for sure they know what a virtual assistant is, I'm happy to call myself a virtual assistant. But in social gatherings where people don't necessarily understand or wouldn't understand what I'm doing because they're a florist or something, yeah, I would probably say I help people to build businesses online, or I help people to generate income online, something like that. Marina says, how do you think would be a good time to start shifting from freelancer to supporter? How can I keep track of it and make myself known? I think you can make the shift without really doing too much and not completely you don't have to abandon freelancer to become a supporter at all. You could do the both. They can coexist. Freelancer is just the foundation of the whole business, and then you grow out from there. It's not like you abandon one. So I would say just carry on doing the freelancer thing. But if you want to start going out into working in a supporter role, I would definitely say start going into more groups. Say you're interested in starting to work on teams. You can start doing polls in groups, asking what VAs have teams, are currently thinking about building a team. You know, just put the feelers out and find out who's out there that's currently looking to build a team or already has a team, and then you can approach people that way. I would say that would be the best option to start with in the groups. But also there are a lot of VA jobs boards and things like that, VA jobs groups and stuff that you can find on Facebook, and just put yourself in there and just regularly check those as well, because I know that a lot of people with teams also post in those groups too. But yeah, I don't think you have to make it just like a cut one off and start another. You can gradually make the transition yourself. You could even, you know, if it really was something that you really wanted to do and start gaining experience in, you know, just offer yourself to work on a team as an intern for a week or something like that. Just saying, I want to get some experience of what it's like to work virtually on a team or in your team, you know, and if you need a little bit of help for a week, I've got some free time, or a day or a couple of days, just let me know. So you can then also say that you've already worked in a team when you go and start approaching other people as well. Which is always a bonus. I always like the idea of, if I'm going to bring someone in on my team, if they've already worked on another team as well, because that dynamic is important. Hannah says, Michelle, I know you recommend Capsule as a CRM sales funnel tool. Any special reason why you like them best? How it compares with Salesforce Essentials? I've never used Salesforce Essentials, so I can't necessarily comment on that, Hannah. But for me, the reason I chose Capsule is because a number of other VAs who I trust and respect used it and recommended it. It was very cost effective. It was like $12 a month, whereas I think Salesforce Essentials is a little bit more pricier than that. It integrated in with my Zendesk customer support account, which was important to me that it did that. So those were the three primary reasons that I chose Capsule CRM. But I will say that I'm moving into Podia now. I'm moving my content management system into Podia, and I'll be doing away with Capsule CRM because I will use Podia as my CRM, which is, you know, it was built into the members area and the website and everything like that. It's not an independent CRM. It's a CRM that's built in as, but you know what I mean. it's not an independent one anymore, since it's built into the system that I'm going into. Then for sure I won't need the Capsule anymore. But I like Capsule. I've liked working in it, but and those are the reasons why I chose it. Jay says, appreciate your honesty. You're welcome. That's all you get here, I'm afraid. Sometimes you like it, sometimes you don't. Corinne says, this may be too big a question for here, but I want, at the moment, most of my client work is as a subcontractor, only a few direct clients. I really want to move over to fully my own clients, and I just seem to be a bit stuck and bogged down in keeping on top of my current very busy workload. Any advice for making that shift? Okay, Corinne, so from what I understand, you are working right now as a subcontractor indirectly with your clients' clients, and you want to move over into more of an entrepreneur and have your own direct clients, but you're stuck on keeping on top of your current workload as a subcontractor. Is it to have the time to be able to build up your business with direct clients? I'm going to assume that's the issue. The problem right now is that you just don't have the time to be able to concentrate on building your own direct client base because you're subcontracting. Yes, time and just getting on with trying to move. Okay, so this is this is a big question, but we've got a few minutes, and I'll do the best that I can to kind of like chip away at this for you. The first thing I would say is, if you've got issues with being able to keep up on top of workload, first of all, start looking at your organization of how you do that work and when you do that work and where you're most productive and things like that. We can't actually gain hours back in the day, but we can certainly organize ourselves better, and we can choose better times of the day to do certain tasks. We can make ourselves more productive in that sense. Maybe as well, you might want to consider, when you're thinking about how you're going to build up your direct client base, start thinking about the items, or start thinking about a marketing strategy or some kind of strategy of how you're going to do that. And then see if you potentially could outsource some of the tasks on that. I'm not saying you should outsource the work that you're subcontracting on. That would be bad. Don't do that. But if there is anything that you can get support in or get help in from another VA to potentially prepare for you, whether that is, for example, if you're going to do Bonjoro videos, which is one of the techniques I use in the Getting Client Guide. And I assist people, if you want to send out these Bonjoro videos, you get 50 free a month. So make your target to send out 50 direct marketing videos a month, 30-second videos. And if you say to yourself, well, I really want to do that, I just don't have the time to find the people to do the direct marketing too. Okay, well, see if you can find a VA who's capable of doing lead sourcing for you and going out there and looking on LinkedIn, and someone you can give an avatar to or a client profile to, and say, these are the types of people that I'm looking to work with, and can you just go out and find some for me on social media or on the web or whatever like that. And then you've done most of the bulk work of that task with a VA, and you've outsourced that, and then all you've got to do is those 30-second Bonjoro videos 50 times in a month, which you should be able to find time for, because it really is that quick. So in terms of time management and getting bogged down and things like that, again, try to organize yourself better. Try to be more productive. Take really good care of yourself. I know that's a cliche thing, take good care of yourself, but it's absolutely true. The more you take care of yourself, the more productive you'll be. Start organizing your strategy of how you're going, get your plan in place of how you're going to get those clients, or those direct market, like the direct clients, not the subcontractor clients, and then start putting that strategy into motion. Devote 30 minutes a day or something like that to it. But you've got to have a plan. You've just got to keep moving forward. And the getting on with trying to move, this is a massive one, is you've got to find your why. As long as you've got your why, you won't have to worry about being motivated to try and move. And it's really, really important. I was talking to somebody about this on one of our mentorship calls today, on one of our one-on-ones, and she was really struggling to find her passion in what she was doing. When you don't have your passion in what you're doing, it's really hard to struggle with, like, why am I doing this? I'd rather be doing something else right now. But if you can come back and figure out your why, then that's going to make a really big difference to your motivation, and then actually finding the time to put into this. I will say that I've built my business over the years, and I've built my business struggling to build my business, and I've built my business with sheer ease. And the only difference in between the two is my mindset at the time. It really was. It's just a case of, like, what do I really want this? How hungry am I for this? Yeah, of course I'm going to sit here I don't really want to sit here for like 2 hours at 10 o'clock at night doing this, but I'm hungry for it and I want to do it. So I'm going to get myself a glass of wine, put some music on. I'm just going to chip away at this for the next 2 hours, and then I'm going to move on, and it'll be day 2, and I'll feel good about myself after I've done it. So it's really just a case of that. And the more you let yourself down, or make excuses for yourself, I think the worse you're going to feel about yourself. in that. So try to have a schedule that works for you. Chip away at something every day, whether it's half an hour, whether it's an hour, 2 hours. Work on that plan, work on that strategy, and really get clear and write down so clearly why this must happen for you, why you must move on to direct clients. You know, what are the reasons? I was talking about this thing, the it's not okay thing. When you start to think to yourself, this is about how, like, this is a really good tool actually when you're going to clients and you're trying to emotionally onboard clients onto working with you. You know, you say, you know, for sure, it's not okay that you don't get to spend time with your kids because you're working 24 hours a day. It's not okay that you can't have access to affordable VA support because you're not one of the big corporate players. It's not okay, but you know, so you go through this motion of saying it's not okay. So that's an exercise that I do with people in my mentorship with, you know, in terms of their clients, you know, like figuring out their emotional reason for wanting to hire you. They're not okay. You have to find you're not okay. It's not okay that I have to keep subcontracting like this because I want to do this. I want to have this lifestyle. I need this in my life. I want to spend more time with the kids. I don't want to be in this situation anymore. So use the it's not okay thing on yourself. And that will help you really figure out the why of why you have to move on, and just keep reminding yourself of that every single day. And you will just keep plowing through. You have to understand when people come to me and they say, I'm tired, I'm burnt out, I get it. And believe me, I've been there. And sometimes it's a huge struggle to work, build your business, do your day job, manage your kids, manage your home. It can be a huge struggle. But it's all about prioritization, and everybody who's built multi-billion-dollar corporations around them has the same 24 hours that you do, and they have families and they have businesses and they have things they got to do, and they feel tired and they feel burnt out, but they do it. And the reason they do it is because they understand, I think, truly understand the reason why they're doing it, behind it. And it's this kind of like energetic force that just keeps pushing you forward, that isn't there when you're in this slump of telling yourself constantly, I've got no time, I'm tired, I don't want to do this, I can't do. No, it's, you've got to start thinking to yourself more about, I have to do this because, you know, because if I don't, what are the consequences? So I hope that sort of generally answered your question. I wish we could do like a big mentorship session on that, really. Okay, so I'm gonna have to wrap this up, guys, shortly, but she says amazing, super helpful, thank you, you're welcome. Okay, Marina, just out of curiosity, have you ever thought about building a software for VA within the one sourcing, one that could gather all the info and tasks in one place? Do you think it's possible? Do you know, I've thought about this many times, probably for the last decade. I would say I started thinking about that about 10 years ago. But I'm not really a techie person, so that was the first thing that was coming up as a challenge for me. But I already knew what I wanted, because I'd worked with so many systems, and I was like, I need this from this system, and I need this function from this system, and I need this from this system, and it's all there, it's all in my head, and it's all laid out, and I know exactly how it needs to be, and in my head it's awesome, by the way. But I have not been hungry enough for it, because I've been able to make things work. I've not been hungry enough for it to actually get the tech people on board to build it. But it's still there in the back of my head. I hope not for another 10 years. That would be brutal. Anyway, I'm going to have to wrap this call up, guys. Quick one more, Josiah. For a VA who's starting, what would you recommend? Join an agency or go look for direct client? I have to say go look for a direct client, because I've never personally joined an agency myself or done anything like that, and I don't think I would. I think you're way better off going out and looking for direct clients, whether that's a direct client where you're working with them and they're servicing their clients on it, and you're working as part of a team, or whether that's a direct client that you're working with one-on-one. I personally don't like agencies. I've also worked with agencies that have a lot of people working within them, and I just don't. I think when you learn from an agency, and this is a very blanket statement, it does not apply to all agencies. I want to put this disclaimer on this statement, but I think when you work for an agency in the beginning, you can pick up a lot of very bad habits that you shouldn't be doing when you're working directly with clients. And if you learn those bad habits at the start, that could hinder your ability to be able to get direct clients later down the line. So that would be my answer to that question. I would probably go directly with finding those direct clients, really focusing on the customer support and the customer experience from start to finish. Okay, wrapping this up now. Thank you so much, guys. Lovely to see so many new faces on the call as well. Stay safe, everyone. Stay in quarantine. Don't go out. Put your mask on. Love you guys. Take care. Bye.